What's really good, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, I wanted to talk about some thoughts that I've been having over the past few months. I can't really do a recapping the podcast that I've been listening to because, as you've heard probably in every single podcast that I've talked about, I'm on a ban still. I'm still on a ban. I can't convince my therapist to let me get off the ban. So, can't do that. But what I can do is talk about other things that I've seen in the past few weeks. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through a couple of Twitter posts, X posts that I thought were interesting enough to spark conversation. We're going to go through a couple of YouTube comments that I would love to respond to here. And then we'll finish it up with stuff that I've just been thinking about and maybe some like insights that I've come to, whether it's driving or in the shower or at the gym or whatever it is, just some personal insights that I just, like ruminating on. So if that sounds good, let's start off with the YouTube comments, okay? So, and these weren't like heavy comments. It was just interesting enough for me to like, want to talk about it. So this comment is basically back to when I posted the video about your $5. Like, what are you doing with your $5? Are you using it on yourself or using it on someone else? And a person commented back, and I'll read it word for word because why not, right? They said that is the dumbest argument I've ever heard. People put their money wherever they decide to. If they decide they don't want to put their money somewhere, they should have every right to do so. And I think the point is not about the right to put your money where it is, because everybody has a right to. It's more about like being cognizant of where you're putting it, though. You know what I mean? Like actually thinking about, I know I can just as easily put this money here for someone else, but what if, like, what is there something that I can do to put that money towards myself, right? What if I could do that? And what would that look like? That's really just what I wanted to get across. Like, I feel like, and I have seen this where people don't spend their money on for themselves and they spend it more for other people. Once again, it's your right to, sure, but it just has me wondering, what could you be doing if you used it for yourself? And obviously, the shoe doesn't fit if you're someone who has spent all their money on yourself and now you want to spend on other people. Like, there's multiple exceptions to this. It's just an overall rule or an overall idea that I like thinking about when I'm spending my money. What am I spending it on? And should I be spending it on someone else? Could I be spending it on myself? If I'm spending it on myself, is it for a good purpose or not, etc. That kind of thing, you know? The next two were actually part of my comment on making the word no your default when someone asks you for something, to do something, if you want something, etc. And I just said, I say no first. It gives me the liberty to think about it, and doesn't feel like I'm obligated to say yes. And then I can follow up with yes if I actually thought about it and then change my mind, or I can keep the no. But that way I'm not tied to something that I'll I just don't want to do at the end of the day. So a person said, "What a miserable way to live." And I find that funny, right? I find that funny that saying no to things is miserable because I feel like saying no to things opens you up for more, right? If you said yes to everything, think about how just closed your schedule would be, because so many people are going to be asking you for things anyways. They're going to be asking you to do things because you're always down to say yes. People are going to be asking you for things because you're always down to say yes. People are going to be asking you if you want things and you're always going to say yes. At the end of the day, do you really have time for yourself? Or like, what do you actually want as opposed to just doing what other people want and or have asked and or have said for you to do? I like saying no first. That's just what I like to do. It makes me feel better because I get a bit annoyed if I'm being asked something repeatedly, as if I'm being kind of coerced into saying yes. I don't like that. It's not me. Um, I don't like saying yes to everything. I've done that in the past. I just don't care to anymore. I would rather say no first and then change my mind, which I've done, which in that podcast I talked about what I like the where I said no and then immediately changed my mind to yes later. Like I've done it before. It just gives me a better frame of mind, not frame of mind, but like a better, it just helps me feel better knowing that I'm not obligated to say yes in this situation. I'm doing it because I want to and I've thought through it. But if I've said no, that's also okay because I'm it's okay to say no. Maybe sometime in the future I'll go on a yes spree. I'll say yes to everything and see what happens. I don't doubt it's powerful, but I doubt I'll have much time to myself if I do that. So I kind of answered both ones there because the second one there was try the opposite of this, enjoy the best year of your life. Listen, man, I don't think saying yes to everything is the best year of your life. I think you saying yes to everything is shackling yourself to other people's whims and fancies, to be honest. So there's nothing in there for me. For you, maybe, but for me, not at all. So those are just a brief set of YouTube comments that I wanted to respond to. Let's go to Twitter because this was something really interesting. There are 3 posts on here that I wanted to talk about that I have bookmarked. So let's bring up the first one, which is somebody made a tweet back in April about Ollie Murs' body. And they had said, like, comparing Ollie Murs, how he looked before and versus how he looked after. And kind of polling people. And I mean, you can lie, right? You can lie on a poll. He basically split it up, and I'm going to put it on the screen for you guys. He basically split it up between 4 polling options. If you're a male, pick if Ollie Murs looks better before or after. And if you're female, pick if Ollie Murs looks better before or after. And although there was a resounding like success of men saying that Ollie Murs looks better in the after, which once again, doesn't matter what you actually are, just depends on what you poll. But there's an interesting discourse around the just huge disparity between the women's options, where only 7% of women said he looks better afterwards, and 27% of women said that he looks better before. But between just the female side, the women's side, that's almost a 400% increase difference. And that's just massive, right? And so somebody had said, uh, like, that's got to be a lie. There's no way that he looks better before or after. And so I liked thinking about this, right? I really do enjoy thinking about this because this is once again the whole, not even a dad bod versus a fit bod, but just like a larger, quote unquote, fluffier, um, insulated body versus one that looks ripped and shredded with low amounts of fat, maybe denser muscle. Don't know if he's necessarily stronger in that or not, but that's just what it looks like to me. And there's always been a discourse about women loving the larger body versus the slimmer, ripper, shredded body, right? What's even more interesting is this person, which got more like engagement than the original post, said, "It's so hilarious to me because as a fat brown dude, I've dated a lot of models and athletes over the years. I used to feel incredibly self-conscious about it because these women were fit, and then there was me. I asked a few about it when I was feeling insecure, and they all said the same thing. Here's what I said. Here is what the women told me when I asked them why they're dating me when they could be dating fellow athletes and models. First, most women find gym bros annoying as hell. They are incredibly judgy because they're always judging their own bodies. But when they're in a relationship, they tend to direct their judgments towards their girlfriends. And then it's like these women are being bombarded by judgments from themselves and their man simultaneously. So most women are like, fuck that. They see me enjoying a burger and fries during our date and not saying a word if she eats an ice cream. And they're like, Jesus fucking Christ, I can finally relax with someone who will accept me exactly as I am without judgment. In other words, it makes them feel safe. Not just that, most women find that stuff incredibly boring and tedious. They don't want a partner who's obsessed with calories and macros. They want a guy with a personality that extends far beyond the gym. Second, a lot of athletic women are competitive, and dating another physically competitive person can be frustrating when you are constantly at a disadvantage because of your weight class and gender. Like, I dated a runner who was happy she could outrun me. And third, a lot of women love fat on men. They love to squeeze it, hold it, love to be wrapped in it. It's a pleasant feeling for a lot of women to be with a man who is not just skin and bones and muscle. This is a hard one for a lot of guys to wrap their heads around. So, given all those reasons, I just think it's very interesting. Um, the last thing, right? Where like men are like, there's no way they think that this looks so much better. And it just goes back to people have their preferences, obviously. But overall, I've seen it in many, either my own relationships or other people's relationships or even discourse online. There's just a majority of women who say they like a fluffier body than a shredded, like leaner one. That's just how it is. And to his last point, I was like this. I was like this up until just the past couple of years, where I was like, I originally started working on college because I was all skin and bones. That was the joke. That was the insecurity joke that was run around my friends and family. It was like, dude's just all skin and bones. And I was. I didn't start working out until senior year of high school. And that was just a little bit. So in college, I started working out. And my main goal was I want muscle on my body so that if my significant other ever rests her head on my body, my chest, my shoulder, whatever it is, she's not resting her head on bone. She has cushion. And so I started working out. And eventually I built muscle. I have muscle, much more than I used to have in the past. And then it changed into, okay, well, my spouse doesn't really care about that. My spouse cares about me being fluffy and cuddly and, like they said, like grippable, whatever it is, and can just like a cushion, right? They don't like putting their head on something that's rock hard, like a pec or abs or shoulder, like boulder shoulders or whatever it is. So then I had to come to terms in the past year with the changes in my body. I've become much more sedentary because of my job and my own personal choices. And so I put on a bit of fluff around my midsection, which I never used to have. Um, and it's been a point of massive frustration for me and body dysmorphia, but mainly frustration for me. And I've battled it because there's a part of me that's like, bro, you need to get this shit off of you. Go back to the gym, start eating better, count your calories, get active, do your cardio, stay in motion. You'll burn it off quickly, no problem. But then the part of me is like, the part of me that listens to my wife and actually like listens, and when she says, I like the increased like mass on you, the increased like fat on you, the increased fluff on you, it looks good. And it's fine. And I've had to battle the dysmorphic part of me versus maybe the more mature part of me who thinks maybe I'm wrong and my spouse is right. This does look good on me. I'm filling out my frame. I do look good. It doesn't look bad. I look good, and I still feel good. Feels its own thing, but I still look fine. And so I've had to battle that a lot. And so it just got me thinking, like, as long as I'm not going all the way towards the dad bod side, which I personally don't like, because a dad bod versus a fluff bod versus a fit bod are completely different things. As long as I'm not in the dad bod realm, but I'm just in the fluffier but has muscle realm, I think I'll be pretty satisfied. As long as I continue to increase my strength, increase my size, etc. I think that's where I've landed on now. There's another one in there that actually hit me more, but it was talking about how, women just want to eat without feeling judged. And as much as I think I'm over it, there's always every now and then a little bit of that what used to be my toxic relationship with food will kind of like project onto my wife. And I hate that. I really hate that. I hate that I'm like in my brain I'm like, "Oh, you're not eating well. Don't eat these things. Eat these things instead." When at the same time I'm personally not eating well. I shouldn't be eating the things I'd eat, but I eat them anyway. And so it's like, am I just projecting my own issues with my nutrition onto my wife who doesn't have the same goals as me, doesn't have the same um, eating habits as me, doesn't have the same even interests as me. She loves to eat. She's a foodie. I'm not a foodie, right? I eat for fuel and that's it. So we're two completely different people when it comes to that. I can't and should not project my own insecurities, my own wishes and whims and stuff onto her. And I catch myself doing that like infrequently, but when it happens, it's like annoying because I'll do it and then I'll catch myself. I won't like pause and think, wait a minute, you're about to project. You're about to say something you don't want, you don't mean. Back that shit up. Reverse it, Terry. Back that shit up. Don't say it. Men out there, here's a tip for all the men out there. When you're talking to your significant other, anytime the argument feels a little bit emotional, before you say anything, always pause. You hear what they say, you pause, you listen, you process, then you speak. Always pause. If there is no pause between what they said and what you said might be wrong, or you might have said what you didn't mean. Always pause, my friends, especially when you say some such shit. Okay, so that was that tweet. I thought it was interesting to think about. You know, I think I always love that discourse, and especially as I'm getting older, getting into wanting to have a family and all that stuff. I think about the physical changes that people go through, the mental changes, etc. And I like to think about them beforehand. Not to say that I'm pre-planning and getting anxious over, I need to make sure I have everything set for when it happens, but just being aware of like, this is a possibility, this can happen. I could put on some pounds. I may not be able to be as active as I want to. I may not get as much sleep as I want to. I may not be able to do the same things with the same freedom as I want to now. But as long as I've made myself aware of it, made myself ready for it, made myself accept it, I will do it without any remorse, without any regret, without any issues. Well, there's always going to be issues with the kids, but you know what I mean. So that was that tweet. The next tweet was from Robin Hobb, who is a very accredited, acclaimed author. And her tweet said, I was born in 1953, no measles vaccine then. Measles wrecked my eyesight. Wore glasses ever after. It's not a trivial disease. If nothing else, think of what has been spent on eyeglasses over the 65 years of me wearing them. And she was basically saying, like, people do and don't like vaccines. I understand. We don't always know if the vaccine is necessary. We don't know there is what is happening behind the scenes. We don't know if those vaccines are affecting us in different ways. But to her point, God forbid you do get afflicted with any sort of ailment, there are side effects from those ailments that may have been prevented with the vaccine as well. And I think about that, like, what if paying for a vaccine now helps you avoid 40 years of having hearing aids because it affected your hearing, or worsened your eyesight, or put you on chronic pills for your nose or your like throat or your speech or whatever it is, right? Like so many things could happen from ailments that if the vaccine can prevent that, it can prevent that. It can prevent all the money down the road as well. So it was just something interesting to think about, to be honest. Okay, this next one's just funny to me. This is Nick Huber. That's some dumb shit, but I always like reading his shit because it's dumb enough for me to like think about it. But he said, I still can't understand the concept of a grown adult sitting on the couch playing a video game. My brain can't understand the damn concept. We're given a life full of opportunity and adventure, and you're wasting it away in fantasy land. And as a gamer, I'm like, well, sir, you obviously haven't had enjoyment in your life. But I think about it in two lenses. I can't understand the concept of somebody who does nothing with their life but only play video games, has no social connection with people around them, has no economic impact on their own life, has no control over their 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 physical fitness, their nutrition, etc. They're one of those like shut-in type people. Um, and they just kind of sit there and play video games and watch things on a TV or a laptop all day or a computer, whatever it is. Those people, I get if this tweet is targeted towards them. Because in his eyes, they're like, you're doing nothing with your life. There's so much to do with life, and you're just sitting there playing video games. Cool, sure. But then I think about the people, the men out there, the grown adults, the men and the women out there who work a job, they work a living wage. They're trying to like live in society. They have a social connection with people around them. They go to work. They contribute to the economy. They don't see their life as needing to be this grandiose thing where everybody knows them and they're making an impact on 500,000 people at one time, etc. They want their life to be maybe secluded, maybe compact, maybe they only want like an immediate circle of relationships, etc. And so they have that. What they want is they want to work their job for 8 to 10 hours a day, physical labor, mental labor, etc., a boring ass commute, etc. And they want to come home and they want to relax. And the way that they relax is playing a video game where they spend 10 to 12 hours a day outside in the real world and they just want this fantasy land to just enjoy their time in. There's nothing wrong with that. I can understand that. I am that. I can understand that. But I like the tweet because it just kind of makes you think, who is this for? Who is this not for? Is it for me? Am I projecting? Am I victimizing? Am I victim blaming, etc.? At the end of the day, if you're playing games because you've, you know, done what you need to do to earn that time, take that time. If you're playing games and you haven't earned that time, then part of me is like, I wish you can, or I wish you have the opportunity to earn that time at some point because it feels better. It feels better when you've earned that time, right? Like it feels better when you've worked so hard. And you're like, I worked really hard and I can sit here and play this game or read this book or enjoy this coffee or this tea and watch TV or whatever it is, right? Like earning that feels great. Doing it having not earned it feels like, man, what the fuck am I doing? What am I really doing here? You know what I mean? Get that. This last one, bro, I fucking love this one. This one is Tiago Forte commenting on somebody's finding that switching brain states costs energy, right? And by switching brain states, it basically means switching from active to passive, resting to active, or different levels of activity. It costs energy. So this entire tweet is amazing. He said, it takes real energy to move from one brain state to another, which explains what I think is one of the most underappreciated facts in all productivity. That the mere order in which you complete tasks is profoundly important. A sequence like task A into task B into task A into task B might require exponentially more energy than task A into task A into task B into task B, even though it's the exact same set of tasks. The order really matters because in each transition from one type of task requiring a certain type of thinking to another type, your brain is having to overcome the activation energy needed to shift brain states. In other words, we have to batch process our tasks to conserve energy, the same way we batch process production runs in manufacturing to conserve time. That explains why so many of the lessons and techniques of old school manufacturing still apply to modern knowledge work. Transitions still consume resources, just a different kind of resource. This is basically the friction concept. It's basically, the friction you feel is the resistance you feel to changing states in your brain. And I love this way of putting it because I can give you a couple of examples, right? Example one, let's assume you woke up from your bed, right? And you stepped out of bed, you're now on your feet. How many times have you gone back to sit down somewhere and you don't want to get back up? Just in the morning. You just got out of bed 8 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours being in bed. You stand up and you go outside and sit back on your couch. Bro, the energy to get back up off that couch is monumental. Holy shit. You don't want to get off that couch. You want to lie the fuck back down when you're on that couch. Or you're like, well, I'm already on the couch. And then you look around, what can I do sitting on this couch to make me feel productive, quote unquote, feel productive without getting up, right? How many times are you sitting down and you don't want to get up and throw the trash away just to sit right back down? Because you're like, what? Why? There's so much energy involved in getting up to throw the trash away. I'll just wait until I'm getting up to do other things when I'm standing, and then I'll get up and throw the trash away, right? We subconsciously do this. We batch process things that we want to do when we're in certain states. I like to draw the dichotomy between a resting state and an active state. That's why a lot of times, like when I really want a good morning and I'm out of bed, I try to stay on my feet as much as possible. Standing, brushing my teeth, standing, like washing my face, and then I come out of my bathroom and I look around. I'm like, what can I do while I'm still standing? I'll stand and I'll go do to stay standing. I'll go do the dishes, or I'll go take out the trash, or I'll go clean some things up and keep myself in motion, just to keep myself moving. The same way, when I used to walk more than I do now, the morning walks would be amazing because I would go out and get a morning walk in, and when I'd come home, I'd want to keep moving. My feet want to keep moving. They don't want to sit down. And so I would keep doing things that would allow me to like stay moving. Or the reason why I got the standing desk, I would just stay standing. And I would stay standing longer. Um, there's been many times when I'm sitting on a couch and I'll think, well, I don't really want to do anything right now, but I want to be productive. Let me just pull out my laptop or my phone and see if I can check emails, send emails, do tasks on my phone, research things, whatever, staying seated, because I just can't get the fuck off this couch, or off this bed, or off this desk, or whatever it is, right? There's so much activation energy involved in moving from a resting to an active state that it's just interesting to see it put this way, where subconsciously and now consciously we can think about, what can I do when I'm sitting for X amount of time? Then when I get up, what can I do when I'm standing for X amount of time and get all that stuff knocked out? You know? I like that. I love that. That shit hits the brain tingles in the right fucking way. Love that shit. So those are all the tweets. And now I have a couple of insights. I think I have 3. So the first one, do I have the book here? I do, but it's back there and I don't feel like moving that stack of books to show it to you. So I read a book called The Phoenix King by Aparna Verma. And I'll talk about the actual review of it over on my book channel and show archives if you're interested. Haven't talked about it yet, but I will at the end of May. In there, you follow 3 points of view. You follow the assassin Yasun Knight, you follow the King Leo, and you follow the Princess Elena. And we're going to put away Yasun for this. Usually when I read books, like, I don't really gain any like life insights from them, because a lot of them are the same types of insights you see everywhere else. So it just kind of goes into one ear and goes out the other, right? A hero's tale, trauma, overcoming your past, overcoming challenges, etc. All those things, right? Training arcs, whatever it is. This book is a slow burn. She's a great writer. I thought the story was okay. But the relationship between Leo and Elena got me thinking. And basically, what Leo is doing in the book is he is withholding information from Elena in terms of how to actually wield fire. The book is basically about this kingdom and this set of rulers where the ruler actively can manipulate firebending. Let's put it that way. And each ruler, only the ruler can bend fire. Not everybody can. So Elena has been asking her father, like, can you please teach me how to wield a fire? I'm not getting it. Can you please teach me how to wield fire? I'm not getting it. And he keeps saying, don't worry about it. Because the truth of the matter, and this is spoilers, so if you don't want to listen to this, come back in like 4 minutes or skip forward 4 minutes. But the truth of the matter is that in order to wield the fire, the eternal flame, as they call it, requires a sacrifice of a loved one or a one you love or one of your blood. So basically, a family member who's of your blood or someone who you love. Otherwise, you will not be able to properly control the fire. And King Leo is trying to protect his daughter from that knowledge. And so he never tells her until right at the last minute. So that got me thinking about the idea of parents withholding information from their children until a later date. All of our parents have done it with us, right? It usually comes in the guise of, I'll tell you when you're ready. You're not ready yet. You wouldn't understand. I'll tell you when you're ready. And it got me asking the question, for the same things that my parents withheld information from me until a later age, would I do the same to my child? And it kind of got me asking the question, like, why would I do that? Why would I do that for my child? What do I gain from that, right? Do I gain seeing them enjoy the world in a less perverted way? By perverted, I just mean like warped, very real, right? The reason why we love youth so much is because it's very naive. They have a naive look on the world because they don't know everything that the world has and can do to you. So protecting them from that, protecting them from taxes, protecting them from like responsibilities of everyday life, protecting them from the burdens, the mental burdens that you get from having to manage your life and somebody else's life, etc. Right? You want them just to sit and enjoy. So it got me thinking, like, I wonder what things that I think back to what did my parents withhold from me until a later date? And did I like or did I dislike that? And then what would I withhold from what would I not withhold from my child until a later date? It was an interesting question, an interesting thought exercise, because it's interesting that I'm having all these thoughts. I think my entire brain is just getting ready to maybe start a family. I never used to have these thoughts. Never. Never used to have these thoughts. And so I think it's an interesting change that's happening to me mentally. Guys, I think I'm growing up. I don't like it. Anyways, the next one was one that I thought that I had at the gym one day. And I talked a little bit about it on Instagram, but I didn't really put it into a podcast yet. And it's just another way to think about your brain capacity, and why you can't do everything that you want to do, and why you need to complete tasks as opposed to leaving tasks open-ended, and why you need to write things down. This kind of applies to everything. But basically, I draw the parallel of your brain being compared to a computer, where a computer has RAM, it has space, it has memory. And if you've ever tried to move some, like, say if your computer has like no space left, right, and you're trying to move things onto an external hard drive, you'll try and like move a video or move a folder, move a set of pictures, and your computer will say, we can't do this because we need 4 gigabytes of additional space in order to do this process in the first place. Like, yeah, I have 1 gigabyte left, but I need 4 in order to do this. And it's like, why? You have space, just move that thing. Why do you need more space to do the thing? It doesn't make sense. And I thought about, like, that's kind of how we work. That's kind of how our brains and our bodies and our thoughts work, right? Think about putting things on paper as your external hard drive, or to think about doing things in the world as the world is your external hard drive, but your internal memory is your brain. If you have overloaded your brain and feels like there's no space left in there, you might sometimes think, I don't feel tired. I feel like I want to do something, but I can't do it. why can't I do this thing right now? What's happening? Or if you just feel so overwhelmed because you have so many things in your brain, you're like, I can't do anything. Like I feel so cramped, suffocated, frustrated. I have decision paralysis. I don't know what to do. I feel like I don't have any energy to do it. That's because you just need a little bit more space in your brain to do it. A couple of ways that I like to free up brain space, free up mental space is instead of trying to remember everything that I have to do in terms of a to-do list, I write that shit down. Put it on your phone, whatever it is, right? That's why I realize why so many people have calendars. Because if you had to think about everything that you have to do, you would have no space to do anything because you're spending all your energy just trying to make sure you remember it. You're going to forget it. But you spend so much energy trying to make sure you don't forget something as opposed to just putting it down somewhere else and freeing up that space in your brain to think and or have space to do other things. I notice this every single time I take a break from one of my hobbies. Every time I take a break from like content creation, or I've like bulk done a lot of things, I've bulked out a lot of my content creation and videos, so I don't have to like think about content creation every single week. There's a week where I don't have to think about like recording or posting a video at all. The amount of brain space that process takes up in my brain is so large that once it's gone, I feel like I can do literally anything. I'll wake up, I'll go for a walk, I'll do my chores, I'll take my morning pills, I'll get my nutrition back on track, I'll go work out, I'll do everything. Because my brain has so much free space to process and just has the energy to do things. But as soon as I like plug that back in, oh, I gotta record this, oh, I gotta edit this, oh, I gotta script this, oh, I have this appointment on this day and I have to do these things. I have to like make these bill payments and I have to pay off my credit card and all these things, right? Once all that gets into my mind, I don't want to do anything. I can't do anything. It takes 1 minute for me to get like wake up and at 9 p.m. go to my kitchen, pour some water, pour out my packet of Element, not sponsored, and take my morning supplements. It takes me a minute, maybe two max to do that. And I don't do that. Because even thinking about doing a minute of work when I have no mental space makes me feel like frozen and frustrated. It's so fucking annoying, dude. It is so fucking annoying. I kid you not, it is the most annoying fucking thing in the world. I hate it. But it's the kind of the reality. So right now, I'm very trying to figure out like what can I offload, what can I not have to think about in order to continue doing these things that I want to do, these little things every single day. And the thing that I landed on was I have to stop starting things and not finishing them. By that, I mean, if I have a to do list and I want to mark things off of it, I actually have to do the thing and mark it off. I have to stop like very high level, very simple example. I have to stop putting dishes in the dishwasher, running the dishwasher, but not unloading the dishes into the cabinets. Just leave them in the dishwasher because now dishes are going to pile up in the sink. And now I have to think about, okay, now I have to load these and now I have to find time to reload the dishwasher. Fuck. That's so frustrating. I don't want to do any of that. I run the laundry, washer, dryer, take it out, put it in the laundry hamper. Okay, now I have to fold this shit. I really don't want to. That's just going to sit in the bag. Okay, well, what about the next time I have to run a load? Where's that going to go? Okay, well, I'm going to push off running the load. But I'm keep reminding myself, all right, remember, you have to do the laundry so you can run the next load and you have to do all these things, right? So I keep starting things and not seeing them through. And I feel like those little things do add up in terms of taking up so much brain space or enough brain space that are getting in the way of the other important things that you also want to do. So, food for thought. Food for thought. The last thing, I don't know if this is schizophrenic of me, but there's times when I'll like have an internal dialogue, and instead of monologue, I said dialogue because there are times when I feel like I say things from the viewpoint of Arish, the insecure, scared, fearful, uncertain individual. And then there's times when I feel like I'm speaking from the realm of intro, egotistical, heavy goals, can't fail, knows what he wants, knows what he has to do, just has to get up and do it. And so I was in the shower the other day and I had one of these dialogue moments where I felt like Arish was talking to Encho. And Arish said, or no, Encho has said, honestly, I don't really know what I want to do with my life. I honestly don't even know if content creation is what I'm going to do with my life. And Arish asked Entro, and why do you do it so much? Like, why are you making it your entire life right now? And Entro responded with something that I thought was pretty powerful. He said, how do you know that you want to do something for the rest of your life if you're not willing to give it your life? And I thought that was pretty powerful when I thought about that. Like, how do you how do you know? That's a very interesting thing to think about. I don't have an answer, but I thought I'd lay that out there for you guys to ponder, ruminate on, think about, chew on, masticate on. You know what I mean? So let me know what you think about that. How do you know you want to do something for the rest of your life if you're not willing to make it your life? You're not willing to give it your life. Let me know what you think about that. So those were the thoughts that I had the past couple of weeks, kind of things that have been going on in my life. Oh, last thing that I'll leave you guys with. So I had done a 3-month training session at the gym with a physical trainer once a week, full body workouts, and then I train twice a week on my own, both full body. I usually train 2 to 3 times a week right now, or I did when I was busy, just because I didn't have the time to go 4 to 5. And the goal was to see if I could get, increase my weight by 10 pounds at the end of the 3 months. Bitch, I lost 3 pounds, gained fat, or my body fat percentage went up, which I don't think it was correct to begin with. But the tool that they used to measure body fat percentage measured me at 5.5 when I started, and now it's at like 7.8 or some shit like that right now, or 8.7, some shit like that. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I don't feel like I don't look like I have that much, but who knows? Or that little. And then we would measure circumference of all the different body parts, like neck, chest, bicep, thigh, calf, waist, whatever it is. And on some went up by like half an inch to an inch, and some went down by half an inch to an inch. So in terms of size, I kind of just flatlined. In terms of weight, I went down. In terms of strength, I think I decreased also because I did fuck up my shoulder 2 weeks ago, and it's still not 100%. It's still not 100%. I'm really hoping it's not a rotator cuff issue. I'm really hoping it's not a rotator cuff issue. So I've been taking it easy on it, but I don't know what to do about it. I'm going to have to show it to somebody here soon. Hopefully when I get back from Texas next week. But yeah, that is an update in life. Thank you very much for listening today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving a like, commenting, rate and reviewing it on Spotify if you're listening there, commenting on YouTube if you're listening there. Consider sharing it to somebody who you think would enjoy the podcast, enjoy me talking and ruminating on my life and sharing my insights with you guys. And or if they would enjoy the guest episodes. I fucking love the guest episodes. They're so fun. I got some really nice messages after a couple of the previous ones that I did, where 2 of my buddies hit me up and said, I really enjoyed the call. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on. And they went back and listened to other ones that I've done. They were like, I really enjoy the questions you ask. I did not know this about this person. I'm like, exactly. I wanna bring people to you guys that I think are really interesting that you may not know everything about, and get them to share those things. Right? I'm not sharing them; they're sharing it. I'm just the medium through which they're doing it, and I find that really fun. So, looking forward to the next set of guests, and also let me know if you guys prefer the set of guests and then these solo episodes, or if you would like the solo episodes interspersed out with the guest episodes, so it's not like chunked out the way it is. Let me know. I kind of like doing it like this because I can just like do all the guest episodes at once, and then I can kind of look back and recap it with you guys. I kind of like doing that. But if you guys would prefer prefer every now and then putting in a solo episode, I can do that 100% for you guys. So let me know what you like, and I will catch you guys in the next episode. Take it easy.